You're watching KRQE News 13 on Fox, New Mexico.
It is Hispanic Heritage Month, and to celebrate the month, the U.S. Mint is putting a new quarter into circulation. Taking the spotlight of this new coin is the Queen of Salsa, Celia Cruz. To tell us more about the coin and the Queen, we are joined by historian Raffi Andonian. Raffi, good morning.
Good morning. And you know, Celia Cruz was alive today. She will be turning 99 this month. Younger than Jimmy Carter, so she could still be alive. But she's not.
What a great birthday present. Tell me, who was Celia Cruz?
She was a Cuban-American musician who ended up influencing 20th century pop culture as a Latin American artist, and she's now the first Afro-Latina to be featured on the U.S. quarter. Now, the story starts in Havana, Cuba. In Havana as a child, she was exposed to diverse performances and musicians. She even, her family even supported her to go get formal lessons in music and voice and music theory, and that paid off. In the 1940s, on a radio competition, she won, and she got a lot of exposure. And when she got a lot of exposure, she got hired, for example, with dance groups and orchestra groups as a lead singer in those groups. So she was, again, continuing to be exposed in different ways. However, this is the period of the Cold War. In the 1950s, you had the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro and all that. And that started to make it difficult for her to make a living in Cuba. So by 1960, when she went to Mexico with her band, she finally got sick of it, and they just didn't go back to Cuba. And part of the reason for that was because, for example, the nightclubs that she was playing at in Cuba were seen as capitalist decadent, so they were shut down. Or the art that was coming out was supposed to support the state, which was not exactly her flavor. But how cool, because like many other Cuban Americans, she found a refuge in the United States, and in the United States, she meshed the Cuban-American music sounds and Afro-Latina music sounds to create modern salsa, and that's why she's known as Queen of Salsa today and now on the quarter.
That is so cool. What does the image on the quarter that we're looking at mean?
Azúcar is what the word is next to the image of her, you know, very dynamic, big smile, and she's, of course, having a ball, you know, she's a performer. And azúcar, of course, means sugar. How fitting, because Cuba was a big sugar colony in its European origins, and sugar is a big thing in Cuba. But what's really cool about that is the fact that that inscription, to me, means something much more, because of the fact that it means so much for someone to be featured on money. Think about it. For thousands of years, nations and other entities have been putting out currencies, and on currency, which we literally value, they put their most valuable people. Look on our quarter, for example. You have George Washington, who's on the head side, American hero, right? And now she's on the same platform as George Washington, immortalized on currency, which has been true for thousands of years, the way we use money, and in particular the United States, on the same platform as George Washington, as one of the women that's featured in the American Women Quarters program, which is a multi-year program, but hers is the most recent one, the 14th one out of 20, that is just in time for Hispanic Heritage Month.
Which is pretty sweet. Much
Absolutely.
like azúcar.
Exactly, that's right. That fits perfectly. That's right.
All right, Raffi, where can we go for more information?
I would go to usmint.gov so that you can learn about, you know, the Mint program for the American women that are featured, to keep up with them as they continue it through next year with new quarters coming out. And I would go to womenshistory.org, which is a National Women's History Museum, where there's a wonderful in-depth write-up about her story, because she's featured in the National Women's History Museum, as she should be. And of course, multiple halls of fame and all kinds of other places, including my hometown. She's in LA. She's in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But of course, that makes you recognize her name, and you see her name with Grammys and Walks of Fame and Halls of Fame. But the place I would go is the National Women's History Museum to learn more in depth about her.
Awesome, Raffi. Always so much fun having you on. Thank you.
Thank you.
For full recap, you can also head to our website, always on KRQE.com. We'll be right back.